What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of the Narcissist Code. I'm your favorite self-aware narcissist, Mr. Lee Hammock, better known as Mental Healness across all social media platforms. If this is your first time seeing my face or hearing my voice, I'm a diagnosed narcissist, and I use my platform on social media to raise awareness for NPD, get more people into therapy, and also validate the victims, survivors, and thrivers of said disorder. Again, y'all, just leaving the gym, just had a good idea, had to hop on here. Today's episode is going to be about how you sometimes you leave one toxic relationship and get right into another one. You leave one toxic, terrible dynamic and end up right in another toxic, terrible dynamic. It happens to so many people. And the first, this is going to be two parts in one part. The first part is going to be talking about how you leave one toxic intimate relationship. The second part, which is going to be in the same video, is going to be talking about how you leave a toxic household growing up, and you end up in a toxic relationship because of that. It influences you, ended up in a toxic relationship. So, yeah, I tell this to people all the time. Take your time to heal. If you feel like you've dealt with a narcissist, or a toxic person, or a horrible person, or whoever you've been dealing with, and you get out of that relationship, take your time to heal. Because take your time to work on maybe your codependency issues. What do you have going on with inside of yourself? Take your time. Because if you hop out of this relationship, you'll hop right into another one, sometimes a worse relationship. And the second time, sometimes the second toxic relationship that you hop into, or the third one, is worse. They get progressively worse. It's like you're taking steps into hell. It's like you're walking down into hell. Like you're on the top step. You're like, it's the lake of fire down there. It's hot and it's crackling. You can hear the fire crackling in hell because you're on the top step. You're like, let me get out of this relationship. So instead of going lateral or going backwards, you don't take your time to heal, and you take a step down to the lake of fire. You're like, oh, my feet getting hotter. This relationship is somehow worse. Let me get out of this relationship, however long it takes you. And then guess what? Instead of going back up and taking your time to heal, you step right down into another one. It's like you're going down. It's like you're taking an elevator to worse relationship because you don't take your time to heal and to grow and to process what you've actually been through. And I get it. It happens to so many people. Yeah, I'm telling you, when I'm doing my one-on-ones over Zoom, it's repetitive. It's literally repetitive, y'all. I was in a toxic marriage for X amount of time, and the first person I met when I got out of this relationship was another narcissistic person. They treated me horrible. My husband or my wife was a malignant, overt narcissist, but the second one was covert, and I couldn't really tell because they didn't act as, they're both narcissists, but they acted differently. They behaved differently. They treated me different. I mean, they treated me the same way, but the behaviors were the same. It was just like a little on a different level. I tell people, just slow down in your healing. Take time to heal. Don't rush to heal it. I'm just telling you, when you rush the healing process, you run right into another relationship. Like, I'm out of that one. Let me run right into another one. Right into it. You're gonna run out of the arms of one toxic person into the waiting arms of another one. They're gonna be like, come on, toxicity over here waiting for you. They're gonna be dressed in red, have a red jersey on, a flag on the back, say red on the front, flag on the back, red flag. And y'all will ignore it because you're running with your eyes closed because you haven't taken time to heal. Take your time because it happens, y'all. It happens. And sometimes it's not even the first person that you date after you get out of a toxic relationship. Sometimes it's the second or third person because the first two people you dated might have been boring. They might seem boring to you because the chaos of the toxic relationship, you might internally miss that. You might internally or subconsciously miss the chaotic nature of this toxic relationship because there was always something going on. It was never a dull moment. You prayed for the dull moments. Sometimes you didn't know what version of that toxic person, narcissistic person, was going to walk through the door. You didn't know what version of that narcissist you were going to come home to. So it's always chaotic, and your brain sometimes gets catered to that chaos. So when you get out of that, you don't take your time to heal. You hop into another relationship, and this person is a good person. That might be a good dude or a good woman, good person, or whatever. And you see them as boring. But a lot of times people make the mistake that it's not boring, it's peace. It's not boringness that you're experiencing. It's a peaceful relationship that you're experiencing. A lot of people don't know the difference because they've been so catered towards the chaos. You've been so immersed in a chaotic relationship for X amount of time that you don't know. You see what I'm saying? It happens all the time, y'all. It's like, man, he's a good guy, but the spark isn't there. The spark was lit in your the relationship with your ex because it was toxic as hell. It was chaotic. The chaos. Some people get addicted to chaos. Some people, it looks like you like the toxicity. I'm not saying that you like the toxicity or you deserve it, but sometimes it looks like you like the toxicity because you go into you stay in the toxic relationships longer than you stay in the non-toxic ones. You see what I'm saying? So take your time to heal. But how do we heal? Work on yourself. Go to therapy. Start a journal. Redevelop that self-love. If you haven't already, I have a self-love journal on Amazon that is catered towards helping people rebuild their self-love. Search Lee Hammock self-love on Amazon. But that's exactly what my journal is catered to doing. Helping people rebuild their self-love, helping people reestablish their self-love and their empowerment and things of that nature. You have to empower yourself. You have to, because if you don't, I'm just telling you, it goes downhill. It's going to continuously go downhill for you. I know a lot of people don't want to experience it. A lot of people don't want to deal with it, but that's how it goes, y'all. That's part of the journey. Take your time to heal. Get to know you. Get to fall in love with you again before you go into another relationship where you're codependent upon them and you feel like you only get validation from that person. So a lot of people hop from one toxic relationship to another one because they don't take time to heal. That's the end of part one. Part two. Leaving a toxic household and ended up in a toxic relationship. This is the type of relationship. This is the type of dynamic. There's some videos on it, but I haven't seen a lot. People say you leave one toxic relationship and fall right into another one. Yeah, it's true, but sometimes that toxic relationship that you leave initially is your household. Is the house that you grew up in. You grow up in a toxic ass household. You get used to the toxicity. That becomes your normal. This is your way of normal now. You don't know anything outside of this toxicity. So when you get into a relationship with somebody that reminds you of your toxic ass parent, you used to it. It doesn't seem abusive to you because you grew up in it. Like, this is not abuse. This is love. This isn't abuse. Like, I get hit because they love me, because my dad used to beat my ass and say he was beating me because he loved me. My husband is doing the same thing because he loves me. You see how it sounds wild, but that's how the mind works, y'all. You get catered towards this. You start listening to this. You start absorbing it. And no, this doesn't happen all the time. Just because you grow up in a toxic household does not mean that you'll end up with a toxic person. But sometimes this is the reason why. You see what I'm saying? You grow up like, I have an abusive woman. And you grow up with an abusive, toxic ass mom, and you end up with an abusive, toxic ass man or woman. You see what I'm saying? This happens more times than you know, y'all. I'm just telling you, this happens more times than you realize it. That's why I tell people to slow. When you come out of a toxic household, you feel like your mom or your dad was toxic. You need to go to therapy as well, because you have to heal those childhood wounds before. Because it's just, if you grew up in a traumatic childhood or had a traumatic household, and you don't deal with your childhood trauma, you're just piling trauma on top of your childhood trauma. Your childhood trauma is on the ground right here. If you don't deal with that, you get in the toxic relationship after toxic relationship after toxic relationship, and you start piling it on. Now your childhood trauma has layers of dirt on it. So now it's time to take some time to heal from your childhood. Because if you're not, I'm just telling you, you end up in a toxic relationship because it feels normal to you. It doesn't seem abusive. It seems like normal. So it seems like, damn, this reminds me of home, subconsciously or internally or externally. Like, damn, this reminds me of home. Like the yelling and the screaming, this is what I grew up in. This is what I'm used to. So it doesn't seem odd to me that you're yelling and screaming at me. It doesn't seem odd to me that you're beating on me, because this is what I experienced in my childhood growing up. You see what I'm saying? You can leave a toxic childhood and go into a relationship with a toxic adult. It happens all the time, especially if you're vulnerable and you don't have any previous relationship experience. If you don't have any previous relationship experience to draw from, this can happen to you as well. And it doesn't matter how old you are. When I tell people, I say previous relationship experience, it doesn't matter how old you are. People automatically think I'm talking about young people. Older people don't have any previous relationship experience either. If you get married at 17, 18, 19 years old, and you're married for 20 years and you get divorced, you don't have a lot of relationship experience. So guess what? You go out into the world, you might find a toxic ass person, and you've been used to toxicity for so long, you get used to it. You're not accustomed to anything differently. So it's just like, just being in a toxic marriage for a long time, toxic household for a long time. The same dynamic applies, y'all. So I said, you have to empower yourself. Give yourself some space and give yourself some grace in order to heal from your toxic childhood or your toxic relationship or your toxic workplace or your toxic marriage. Whatever the dynamic that you need to heal from, give yourself a chance to heal from that, or you're going to end up living a very, very, just a sad existence, just a sad life, y'all. And you don't want to live that. I'm telling you. If you want to live as authentically as you possibly can, because that helps you grow. That helps you realize who you really are. It helps you go a certain type of way. You know what I mean? You just have to grow into it. Grow into who you're supposed to be. Personal development, therapy, working on yourself, journaling, whatever it takes, y'all. Whatever it takes to heal before you move on. I'm just saying, do it. Do it and don't regret it. Do it and don't just like, damn, I'm eager to fall in love though. But you're going to be eager to fall right into a damn toxic relationship trap, y'all. Take your time to heal. Do what you need to do to heal, and then move forward that way. It is more empowering than you think it is, y'all. I promise you. It damn well is. So empower yourself. Take your strength back. Take your power back. You know, if you listen to this on Apple Music, hit that 5 stars for me. If you, like I said, support the journal. It's online. Lee Hammock Self Love on Amazon. Like and subscribe for more. And thank y'all for tuning in, y'all. Mental Illness is out. Peace.